So I'm glad y'all are here with me. So, my name is Diego Garcia. I'm a Chicano poet, activist, communist, and someone who wants to see the liberation of all oppressed peoples across the world. My liberation, our liberation, is intertwined with each other. So, let's get into it. I've been asked to explain the role of the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, in their genocide, or perpetuating the genocide in Sudan. I want everyone to know, though, first, I'm up here, but I'm not talking at you. I'm here with all of you, learning, growing my political conscience, and sharing my revolutionary heart. The Sudanese people have been blacked out from the world stage. What is happening in Sudan is a manifestation of colonialism perpetuated by capitalism. A proxy war portrayed as a civil war because it's always inherent in populations of the third world that we kill ourselves. What this leaves out is the history of how the narrative came to be. The history of Britain's colonization of Sudan. Colonization is the subversion of many cultures in exchange for a supposed civilization. A civilization divided by a race-based science created from European colonizers who measured the skulls of our ancestors to justify their exploitation. To justify the hierarchy of race, we were at the bottom and they were at the top. This is emphasized here because colonization is the death of the savage. This is emphasized here because these divisions have led to ethnic cleansing and genocide in Sudan. Ethnic cleansing and genocide in Sudan are colonial divisions that have remained since the colonization of Sudan by Britain. As colonialism formally ended, what proceeded is what we continue to see today. Civil war, democracy, dictatorship, civil war. The UAE is following the imperialist playbook. It doesn't matter who is leading the country as long as they support the imperialist cause. Colonization is about extraction. When combined with the divide and conquer mentality, states are viewed as places of extraction for the benefit of another country. Colonization is about gaining an advantage of the world. And the UAE is taking advantage of power vacuums that exist because of the instability created by colonization. Sudan is rich in natural resources and gold, and these natural resources that exist within it are seen as up for grabs. And so, ultimately, the UAE is seeking greater influence in this part of the world to compete with its neighbors like Saudi Arabia and Egypt on the world stage, which is in contrast to Saudi Arabia and Egypt. The UAE supports the RSF, the Rapid Support Forces. The United Arab Emirates is a nation that is currently supplying the paramilitary rapid support forces in Sudan with arms and medications to support their campaign of ethnic cleansing and genocide against non-Arab Sudanese people. The UAE and the RSF have a history of working together that extends beyond the current proxy war in Sudan. The RSF has supported UAE-backed forces in Yemen, in Libya, and other parts of the Sahel region. This is how the RSF built a considerable amount of wealth for itself. The RSF operates as a cartel for the UAE through shell companies which exploit the natural resources of Sudan. In the aftermath of the dictator Omar al-Bashir in 2019, Sudan was in an economic crisis. The RSF was able to pledge over $1 billion to the Sudanese Central Bank, which assisted in the stabilization of the total crisis. The RSF has its commercial empire in Dubai, where it uses RSF-controlled mines, such as the Jabal Amir gold mines in Darfur, to obtain capital for arms and other supplies, perpetuating this genocide. The UAE does this because Sudan is a geopolitical strategic location, meaning they do this because the UAE has a lot of investments in Sudan. Sudan is seen as an investment. The UAE sees this land and its resources. The UAE sees geopolitical advantages that would allow for more capital to flow. The UAE does not see the Sudanese people. Using the wealth of the UAE has obtained from the exploitation of gold mines in Darfur, free trade agreements. They're also building military zones and free trade zones. But at the end of the day, I want to let you all know none of this is possible without capitalism. Capitalism gives the UAE no incentive to stop their contributions to the genocide of ethnic cleansing. Walter Rodney, the author of How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, states, "Capitalism stands in the path of further human development. Nothing in this capitalist world would exist without its ability to either create other forms of capital or maintain the material relations of how anyone obtains capital. Capitalism creates the conditions that allow for one and the state to exploit peoples and the land for its own commodification. Capitalism creates non-reciprocal relationships with the people and the land, and the people of Sudan understand this, which is why they are calling for an arms embargo against the UAE. This genocide will not stop without an end to the supplying of arms to the RSF by the UAE. This genocide will not stop unless we raise our voices and speak out against the role of the UAE against the Sudanese people. An arms embargo is only the first step, however. The Sudanese people want revolution. The Sudanese people want liberation. And that requires a commitment to the cause and a heart full of love. So I want to leave you with this one last thing. Words do not simply lead to action. The component that sets us apart from our oppressor is our love. Love is an action, just as revolution is an action. Love requires movement, for what is stagnant is the status quo. I'm here to tell you, in order to achieve what we want to achieve, we need to perceive our actions as an act of love. I see all of you being here today as an act of love. Where could love be found if not from those whose life depends on it for their own liberation? We exist because of the sacrifice of others. It is a duty for humans to ensure the next generation's ability to foster and develop the love of oneself and of others. And this requires dismantling systems of oppression which are upheld by our oppressors. We must rebel out of love, start revolutions out of our love. We must act revolutionary out of our love. Lead with love, and anything is possible. Thank you.